Okay, so here we are with another Mcfarlane DC Superpowers unboxing, and this is Superman, and it's not just any Superman. This is Lord Superman. Yes, Justice Lord Superman. The sticker on the back puts his name as Lord Superman, and it even says it on the cross-sell listing on the back here. He's number 22, Lord Superman. So this isn't just any other version of Superman. This is an evil tyrant version of Superman, which has become ridiculously commonplace by this point. But when they did it on Justice League, the animated series, it hadn't been played out yet. So hang on a second. We'll try to grab this. Okay, so yeah, this is a pretty cool figure. I think it looks pretty nice. I have my other superpower Superman figures over here, so we can compare the other two figures that Mcfarlane has put out so far. And this is another villain for the line, which is kind of sparse on villains. So let's see. If I'm looking at the back here, we had Darkseid and the Batman Who Laughs, which Darkseid was kind of a lame figure, and Batman Who Laughs I just refused to own. Uh, then we had Deathstroke. Deathstroke was awesome. We had Black Manta. Black Manta was awesome. We had Reverse Flash, who I've not been able to find yet. And then Justice Lord Superman, and then Sinestro. And it's really weird looking at this. That we're up to 27 figures in this line so far. Not one figure of the Joker, who is like the most famous of all of the DC villains. You would think if they were going to make just one villain in this line, it would have been the Joker. No Joker. No Lex Luthor, which you figure Lex Luthor, he'd probably be like the next on the list of villains that were most famous in DC Comics. No Lex Luthor so far. We do have Brainiac on the way, so that's cool. I've got to imagine they're planning a Lex Luthor because it seems like they're putting together the Legion of Doom with with the classic Brainiac and Sinestro and Black Manta. I haven't been able to find Reverse Flash yet. He's apparently one that's really hard to find. Black Manta's one that was ridiculously hard to find. I was lucky I found the one that I did. So, and how many versions of Batman do we have so far? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 versions of Batman so far. And 6 if you count Batman Who Laughs, which I don't. This was that? We don't count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 so far. 5 versions of Batman. No Joker. Riddler, you would think it would be a pretty easy repaint. Just they got the Hal Jordan Green Lantern. Just repaint that to be the Riddler, like they did in South America with the Super Amigos Riddler. We've got 2 Green Lanterns, 3 when Kilowog shows up, and Guy Gardner is apparently on the way. We got 2 different Robins, both of which are Tim Drake. We got 2 different Nightwings. We got 2 different Wonder Womans, and one of them is could be better. I don't know. I'm not a fan of the new 52 design of Darkseid, so I wasn't really happy with that figure. And I've got my original Superpowers Darkseid anyway. He's over there on the shelf. I just found him while I was digging through some stuff. So yeah. Justice Lord Superman gives us another villain. Let's go ahead and read the bio in the back. The Superman of Earth 50 leads the Justice Lords, a Justice League from an alternate universe where they enforce law and order through any means necessary. So yeah, fans of the Justice League animated series will remember the Justice Lords, one of the best episodes of the Justice League proper, not Justice League Unlimited. It wasn't called that until like the 3rd season, I believe. But yeah, the cold open has Superman confronting Lex Luthor in the White House, and Lex Luthor is president. And people watching the show were probably like, "Huh, what's going on? Lex Luthor is president? What?" And then that's not even the most shocking thing. And then Superman murders Lex Luthor with his heat vision, and then when the rest of the Justice Lords show up, they're like, "Superman, are you all right?" And he's like, "I feel great." And the people seem to think of the Justice Lords as being like a version of the Justice League that became corrupted by power and became the Justice Lords. But I don't think they're ever actually referred to that particular iteration of the team as the Justice League. They're only referred to as the Justice Lords. So I think in that universe they were just always the Justice Lords. And Superman in that universe is just a different guy. He just wound up a little different for whatever reason. Anyway, let's go ahead and open them up. Oh, real quick before we do, I want to have a look at this artwork. I want to point out that this is just a standard picture of Superman in the classic costume, and that all the changes made to make him Justice Lord Superman are in the coloring. But you can see that there's where the S is separate from the chest instead of being one solid piece with like the collar and the shoulders and everything like it is on the figure. I kind of wonder why they didn't color in his neck solid white instead of coloring it in flesh color like that. I think that would have been a little more accurate, but whatever. Little nitpick. A little nitpick about that. Oh, look, the whole thing's pulling loose here. So with all these with me trying to find a blue and gray Batman that's on a card that's going to stay on there, now they finally started to actually glue. It's a little loose at the top. Maybe I should have started from the top. All right, so let's go ahead and get this out. So there's the backing bubble here to keep the cape from flapping around too much in the package. And then Justice Lord Superman. Let's go ahead and I'm going to try to get the cape off of them while I pry it out. That way I don't have to pull it through the whole cape through the packet. I can just pull the collar through. So there's the cape, and it's the kind of spandex type material like the capes have been made out of lately. So not 100% what the capes were in the vintage Superpowers line, not the same exact kind of fabric, but that's probably about as close as they can get nowadays. They might not even make that Superpowers cape fabric anymore. And the spandex works fine as far as I'm concerned. I don't really have a problem with spandex. So here is Justice Lord Superman out of the package, and we can see that he is just a straight up repaint of the original Superman figure. You can even see where the collar of the shirt is sculpted on there. A little separation where the neck is. So while we've got the cape off, let's go ahead and talk about the articulation. So of course the head rotates all the way around. The arms rotate all the way around. There's only one point of articulation on these arms. It's at the shoulder, and it's a simple cut joint. Speaking of simple cut joints, leg kicks up about that far, kicks back about that far. So he can do the splits no problem, but he's doing them this way instead of the other way like I usually show the splits. So there we go. He's got a knee joint, single joint of the knee, bends that way. No rotation or anything. It's a simple cut joint. All these are simple cut joints. This is a vintage style, 80s style action figure. So, most 80s action figures were just 5 points of articulation. And this guy is no exception, except for those knees. He's got the extra knee joints that Superpowers had back in the 80s, which was unusual for an 80s action figure. Outside of G.I. Joe, figures didn't really have knee joints. It was just, joints at the shoulders, joints at the hips, and the neck joint. That was it. Let's go ahead and put the cape back on him. And of course, as I pointed out before, these Mcfarlane capes are not sewn in the same way that a vintage Superpowers cape would be. But you can kind of fold in the corners where it meets the cape clip and get an approximation of what it would have looked like if it was a vintage Superpowers figure. So Superman reuses the entire mold of the original Superpowers, well, the original Mcfarlane Superpowers. Superman. It's the exact entire mold. Not a single piece is newly sculpted on this guy, and shares most of the parts with the Rebirth Superman, who has a new belt. So other than the belt, it's all the same sculpt between all three Supermans. And this one shares the belt with the original Superman. You can see that if you look closely, it does have the belt loops on there, but they just kind of painted it to look more like the Justice Lord's belt on the cartoon series. He's got an all black and white suit with the bracers. Those are painted on, and the similar stripy pattern on the boots. The boots are still sculpted with the traditional Superman M shape at the top of the boot. Superman, how about that? And of course, the trunks are still sculpted, and it's still the classic Superman mold. It's just, repainted to be the Justice Lord suit, and that's appropriate because it's Superman still. It's just an evil version of Superman. So and then the of course the traditional S shield is red instead of yellow with a white S over it, and it's one solid piece, like I said, with the shoulders and the collar and everything like that. And the cape, the way it's drawn on the animated series, it should all be like one solid piece. But of course, since the cape is removable on this, it can't be one solid piece. So it does reuse the same head, again, reuses all the same parts as this first Superman. But unlike the first Superman, where the eyes are just kind of simple blue dots, like the 80s Superpowers figure would have been. Oh, and by the way, just for the sake of full disclosure, this is not a cape that originally came on this Superman figure. This is the cape that came on Wonder Woman, because I actually think this cape looks better. The original Superpowers cape got messed up with the hole in the back for the tab that went through it, and I always felt like that cape was too long anyway. I would like to put an emblem on the back of this cape eventually, but whatever. But yeah, that one, the eyes are simple blue dots. And this one, like with the Rebirth version of Superman, they actually bothered to paint in the eyelashes. Now, the simple blue dots, that is more accurate to what the original 80s Superpowers figure had. But I don't think it works as well with this head sculpt. I kind of feel like with the way this head sculpt is, it wound up looking much better on the Rebirth figure where they put those eyelashes in there. I think this sculpt needs those eyelashes. And I'm kind of hoping that Mcfarlane will go back to the drawing board with Superman at some point and give us like a better classic Superman than this one, maybe with a head that's a little more accurate to that Superpowers figure. I mean, we do now have a Batman that is, much closer to the 80s Superpowers figure. It still took some liberties, but there are liberties that honestly I like. Like I've mentioned before, I actually think this head sculpt is slightly better than the original Superpowers Batman. Controversial opinion, I know. And I do really like the black shading that they put on the forehead on this version of Batman. Makes him look a little more comic booky. But yeah, I do think that this sculpt works really well for the Justice Lord's version of Superman, and hell, it works really well for the Rebirth version of Superman. So I wouldn't expect them to go back and redo these, but I kind of feel like, yeah, we need a better Bronze Age Superman than this one. Now I know there was that leaked list recently, and there was a Fleischer Superman on that one, I think. So hopefully that can be their excuse to go back and redo Superman a little bit and give us something a little bit closer to the vintage Superpowers figure than this one wound up being. I'm hoping they'll take that as an opportunity to do that later on. And there's lots of other versions of Superman, obviously, that I think could be really cool, which would be like Kingdom Come style Superman, or like an Earth 2 style Superman. Speaking of which, one other difference with this one is they put some gray at his temples, which he did not have that on the animated series. The animated series version, Justice Lord Superman, was supposed to be the same age as the regular universe Superman, but it was just kind of a path not taken kind of thing. But I gotta say, I actually really like the gray at the temples. I think that's a good touch. And while I'm talking about the head sculpt, I'd mentioned he has eyelashes, but also notice that his irises are red rather than blue because he's got that heat vision thing going on. And the heat vision is especially appropriate for this version of Superman, not only because it is an evil, corrupted, tyrant version of Superman, and the red makes him look a little more sinister, but also that was a very important plot point as far as the Superman character goes in that particular episode, because one of the things he did was he would lobotomize the supervillains, and like you, when they went to, there's the really creepy scene where they went to Arkham Asylum in broad daylight and everything looks nice and clean, and the receptionist at the table says, "Can I help you?" in that gentle voice, and you see it's the Joker, and he's got these two little scars like right in the middle of his forehead, and you realize that, oh my God, Superman, Justice Lord Superman lobotomized him with his heat vision. And then you see all the Batman villains in Arkham Asylum with the same two little scars right there. Creepy. so yeah, I really enjoyed that episode, and it wound up being like probably one of the most important episodes. It's a two-part episode, but probably one of the most important episodes in the whole series, because of course, that was what so much of the Cadmus arc was built off of, was the idea that once the US government found out that, oh, there's a parallel universe where Superman and the Justice League murdered the president and overthrew the government and took over, and maybe we ought to have some kind of failsafe against these superheroes, so called, if they decide to turn against us. And that was how Cadmus got started. So it's good to have another villain in this line, even if it is, an alternate universe version of Superman. By the way, let's go ahead and have a look at him next to the Batman figure that came out in the same wave, which is, of course, the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh. And even though, like, this isn't supposed to be like the Justice Lord's version of or Batman, it is supposed to indeed be according to the package, it's supposed to be Bruce Wayne, even though we all know this is really Tolano. But according to the package, it is supposed to be Bruce Wayne in the Zur-En-Arrh persona. But they do look really good together, I think, and they kind of complement each other a little bit. Superman, who we're used to, of course, seeing in bright primary colors in this more monochromatic uniform, and Batman, who, of course, is traditionally thought of as being in more somber hues, gray and black and blue, and like darker colors. Here he is in these sort of outrageous bright colors. So they kind of complement each other in a weird way. I think they work together even if they're not really intended to work together. So that's pretty cool. So and while I've got him over here, we might as well compare him to another alternate universe with the Flashpoint universe. And here he is next to the Thomas Wayne Batman. So you have the darker version of Superman versus the darker version of Batman. I was telling my mom about the Flashpoint universe when I was visiting her last, and telling her how, like, yeah, in that universe, instead of Bruce Wayne's parents being killed by the mugger, Bruce Wayne was the one killed by the mugger, and his father wound up becoming Batman to avenge his son, but a much darker version of Batman, and then Martha Wayne wound up becoming the Joker, and she was just like completely taken aback by that. Messed up universe Flashpoint is. So So yeah, that's pretty much it for Justice Lord Superman. I really like this figure. I'm really happy with it. This is probably one of the better superpowers figures that I've gotten recently. I did really like the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh figure, so I don't want to sound like I'm trashing on that one, but I think I like this. I think I like Justice Lord Superman even better. So I've got a lot more superpowers on pre-order. You know, I've got Green Lantern. I think is supposed to come in on Monday. That's the Hal Jordan Green Lantern, and then of course I've got like the entire wave pre-ordered on Amazon right now with the manga Batman and Blue Beetle, Brainiac, and Kilowog. So I'm really excited to be getting those, and I've got the Bug pre-ordered as well. I did not pre-order the Brainiac Skull Ship just because I've seen like uh, so many people finding the Brainiac Skull Ship at Walmart already that I kind of figured I'd have a good chance of finding that in the wild. So I decided to take that chance. I've got one more superpowers item to open that I have in my possession right now. So that will be the Batmobile. So you can look forward to me opening that soon. Probably tomorrow. So maybe later today. And I've still got this Flash Gordon figure hanging around back here. So I'm gonna have to open him up sometime soon. I'm really excited about that particular Flash Gordon character. You're just gonna have to wait until I open them and see which one it is. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for Justice Lord Superman. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure that you like and subscribe and all upon YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this figure and Justice Lord Superman in general. Like I said, it's one of my favorite episodes of the Justice League animated series, and you know, I'm definitely happy to have this particular character represented in the superpowers format. I think it worked out really well. So we will talk to you next time. Bye.